This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, September 11th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Prominent conservative activist Charlie Kirk is dead after being shot in Utah.
Preserving America as we know it.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
The hunt for the killer of Charlie Kirk intensifies, and members of Congress on edge. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
President Trump's executive order in D.C. expires. I'm Clayton Neville.
Chuck Schumer is pushing the Senate to make all Epstein documents public.
To release all of the Epstein files.
I'm Sue Aller.
On Wall Street, the S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ each open at new all-time highs again this morning. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A Senate panel has approved President Trump's newest Federal Reserve Board nominee, Sagar Meghani Washington.
And tributes planned for the anniversary of the September 11 attacks. All ahead on America in the Morning. Charlie Kirk, the charismatic founder and the face of Turning Point USA and staunch supporter of President Trump, was shot and killed on the campus of Utah Valley University. Kirk was just 31. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports that tributes from around the world are pouring in for a pillar in politics and the conservative movement.
I'm just going to state the obvious here. This is detestable, what's happened. Political violence has become all too common in American society, and this is not who we are. It violates the core principles of our country, our Judeo-Christian heritage, our civil society, our American way of life, and it must stop. We need every political figure, we need everyone who has a platform to say this loudly and clearly. We can settle disagreements and disputes in a civil manner, and political violence must be called out, and it has to stop.
Prominent conservative activist Charlie Kirk is dead after being shot in Utah. 31-year-old Kirk was shot in the neck while speaking at a debate hosted by his nonprofit political organization, Turning Point USA.
I honestly was just confused because I was not expecting it. Didn't know exactly what was even happening. And there was only one gunshot, so I think that's what confused me as well. The crazy thing is that right as they're debating about gun violence, we hear a gunshot. I don't see Charlie Kirk at this point because people are in front of me, but my friend was with me and we just start running off.
Kirk became one of the nation's most recognizable conservatives, an essential part of President Donald Trump's operation. Kirk spoke at the Republican National Convention in August 2020.
This election is a decision between preserving America as we know it and eliminating everything that we love. To hold down the good, decent middle-class patriots striving to build a family and pursue a decent life.
Kirk was regularly present on cable TV. He leaned into the culture wars and highly praised Trump. In return, Trump spoke at Turning Point USA conferences.
We want to be too big to rig. You know, there gets to be a point where they can't rig it, so we have an expression. Charlie and I were just talking. It's called too big to rig.
The nonprofit organization advocates for conservative politics on high school and college campuses. I'm Haya Panjwani.
President Trump has ordered flags to be lowered to half-staff until Sunday in honor of the passing of Charlie Kirk. Trump wrote on Truth Social, quote, "No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie," end quote. Former President Barack Obama posted on social media, quote, "This kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children," end quote. Former President Joe Biden posted, quote, "There's no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones," end quote. Current VP J.D. Vance shared President Trump's post and added, "Eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord." The FBI and Utah State Police are actively searching for the person who killed Charlie Kirk. With the latest, here's America in the Morning's Jeff McKay.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox said in a news conference Wednesday afternoon a person of interest was in custody, but that person was soon after released following an interrogation by law enforcement and the FBI. A second person was also questioned and also released. Officials suspect that the shooter shot Kirk from a rooftop at a distance of nearly 200 yards, firing a single shot as he spoke at an outdoor event on the college campus. But authorities had little additional information other than that the person appeared to be wearing dark clothing. The gun used was not found on campus. Governor Spencer Cox.
This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation. And I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
Cox added that Utah still has the death penalty and they will do everything possible to capture the killer. And there's more concern following the death of Charlie Kirk. House Speaker Mike Johnson says that many lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle are demanding increased security, saying that, quote, we have to take serious measures in serious times. I'm Jeff McKay in Washington.
Trump's order for federal troops in Washington has ended. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. The deluge of rain in Florida is ongoing. Here's the latest from AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Today does mean more localized torrential rainfall developing over portions of the Sunshine State of Florida, which has had some trouble living up to that name lately thanks to a front parked over the Florida peninsula for days now. This front has brought extreme rainfall rates and totals to cities such as Miami, where 97% of the historical average rainfall for the whole month of September has already fallen over the course of just the first 10 days of this month. This has been much needed rain over parts of South and Southeast Florida in particular, but it's just come too quickly to be of full benefit, and this afternoon's heaviest rain looks to set up mainly near and to the south of the I-4 corridor between Tampa and Orlando. Thunderstorms are the most likely to turn severe today in a completely different part of the country, as the zone essentially from the eastern half of Wyoming to the western Dakotas, the Nebraska Panhandle, and central Montana needs to be on alert this afternoon and evening for storms that may deliver strong winds, hail, and some downpours. Thunderstorms should be fairly widely scattered across interior portions of the Northwest in particular, as the disturbance continues to push its way inland, and parts of Oregon and Idaho may have quite a wet day in store. One rather large area that is much less likely to have wet weather today stretches from New England across the Great Lakes, southward to southeastern New Mexico, and east from there through much of the Gulf Coast and the East Coast, where sprawling high pressure should fend off showers, except toward the North Carolina and Virginia coastline. In Patriot, Indiana, today looks sunny with a high getting up to 83. From Monument, Oregon, a morning shower gives way to slow-moving afternoon thunderstorms under a mix of clouds and sunshine, the high reaching 75 today. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Trump's emergency order over Washington, D.C., which federalized its police department and surged law enforcement to the district, expired at midnight. Correspondent Clayton Neville has an update.
Congress opted not to take action to extend the emergency order, citing cooperation by city officials and expectations that that will continue moving forward. Some National Guard troops could stay in place for now. About 2,000 of them were surged to D.C. on a crime-fighting initiative launched by President Trump last month. The overall plan, though, by no means over. A House committee now debating more than a dozen bills that would do things like make the D.C. Attorney General appointed by the president and not elected by residents there. The White House and D.C. police say crime has fallen since Trump took action, but critics of the move point to falling crime numbers before Trump stepped in. I'm Clayton Neville.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is pushing to get the government to release all documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Sue Aller reports that his plan could force a vote on the Senate floor, where he believes he will garner Republican support.
On Wednesday, Schumer used a rare procedural move, usually reserved for the majority party, to force a Senate vote. He tied the proposal to the must-pass defense bill, ensuring it comes to the floor.
So I just filed an amendment to the NDAA bill that would require the Attorney General to release all of the Epstein files.
Republicans call the move hostile, saying it risks bipartisan talks on defense policy. Some GOP senators also say they support making the files public, but not the way Schumer is handling it. Schumer argues the public deserves answers.
There's been so much lying, obfuscation, cover-ups. The American people need to see everything that's in the Epstein file, and my amendment would make that happen.
If passed, the amendment would require the Justice Department to release the Epstein files within 30 days. Meanwhile, in the House, Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett is questioning a drawing that was found in Epstein's birthday book and is alleged to have been sketched by Donald Trump. On CNN, he says he doubts its authenticity.
I mean, anybody can do a signature. We've seen auto pens been used quite a bit with the Biden administration. So I've never known Trump to be much of an artist either.
The drawing shows a cartoon-style figure and includes a signature said to be the president's. But Trump denies he created it. I'm Sue Aller.
When we return on America in the Morning, move over Elon Musk for the world's new most richest man. After these messages. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with Thursday Business.
Wall Street opens this morning with the S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ at new record highs again. The Dow fell yesterday. Treasury Partners Richard Saperstein tells CNBC's Sarah Eisen he's bullish, even with markets near or at record highs.
You know, the market's up 103% over the last 5 years, and earnings are up 95%. So a little bit stretch on multiples, but we think it's an excellent market to own stocks.
Just stay in stocks.
Absolutely.
Oracle stock gained 36% yesterday. It posted its best day since 1992, adding $244 billion in value on big revenue gains from its multi-cloud database business. And look who's now the richest man in the world, Oracle's founder and executive chairman.
Larry Ellison, of course, owns 1.15 billion shares, and he is now at least at the top of the world's richest list, surpassing Elon Musk. That's according to Bloomberg. Forbes may take you to a different place. Ellison's fortune, though, growing by more than $100 billion today. $100 billion today. That's the biggest one-day increase ever since they've been tracking these things, as we like to say.
CNBC's David Faber. Buy now, pay later firm Klarna is now officially trading on Wall Street. It debuted yesterday at $52 a share. CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin asked the CEO of Wells Fargo about companies like Klarna competing with banks and their credit cards.
How do you think about the sort of buy now, pay later and fintech companies that have come on that effectively are trying to compete away legacy businesses?
It's competition in lending. Our view in terms of what we do and the benefits that we bring, it's not just about the credit card loan. It's not just about the mortgage. It's about all the things that we do.
Wells Fargo CEO Charles Scharf on CNBC. Meantime, an early investor in Klarna was Sequoia, and Sequoia partner Andrew Reed was on CNBC.
The traditionalist point of view that credit cards are normal to be accepted everywhere. You can use it for your lunch, pile it on all into one bill, and heaven forbid you miss a payment, it revolves and you can get out of control quickly. And yet people think it's funny that you can, use Klarna for your DoorDash, single purchase installment, and you can't lose control like that. Gen Z in particular sees a lot of value in using Klarna as opposed to using the traditional credit card.
Inflation at the wholesale level for August was expected to be higher. It came in a tick lower. And on today's watch list, we get the latest on consumer inflation. The CPI for August will be out at 8:30 Eastern this morning, the Consumer Price Index. It's the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and the financial markets will hold moments of silence this morning.
Thank you, Jessica. Reflection on those attacks from 24 years ago when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. A nominee of President Trump to the Federal Reserve Board is moving toward a Senate confirmation, but with an unusual caveat. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
A Senate panel has approved President Trump's newest Federal Reserve Board nominee, setting the stage for full Senate approval and raising more questions about the Fed's independence. Stephen Myron may be in place for the Fed's meeting next week, when it's likely to lower its key short-term interest rate. Myron is a White House economic advisor, and while presidents have nominated staffers to the Fed board, nominees have always given up their White House posts. Myron says he would stay on the job while at the Fed. Democrat Elizabeth Warren says that means taking a Trump loyalty test.
That is not independence. That is servitude.
Meantime, a federal court yesterday blocked the president's bid to fire Fed board member Lisa Cook. He's appealing, but it's likely both Myron and Cook will be on the board next week. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Today is the 24th anniversary of the September 11 terror attacks. There'll be remembrance ceremonies held across the nation. President Trump will be at the Pentagon this morning and later travel to New York, where he'll attend the New York Yankees baseball game. Vice President J.D. Vance and the Second Lady will be in Manhattan for the ceremony at Ground Zero, where the Twin Towers fell. Later tonight, the annual Tribute in Light, 2 beams of light into the sky emanating from the World Trade Center site, symbolizing the loss of the buildings and the nearly 3,000 people, will be lit. Secretary of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins will attend the Flight 93 Memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That memorial honors those killed on Flight 93, which crashed in a field with 40 passengers and crew members aboard after people began fighting with the al-Qaeda terrorists who had hijacked the plane. Many people remember where we were that fateful day. Myself, live broadcasting the information on radio. America in the Morning for Thursday, September 11th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour,
praise in the tributes to Charlie Kirk.
He respected everybody.
This is a political assassination.
I'm Rich Johnson.
A senior lecturer at Texas A&M University fired after video posted by a student goes viral. I'm Clayton Neville.
3 teens were critically wounded in a shooting at a suburban Denver high school. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Amazon Zoox unleashes robotaxis on Vegas. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Thousands of film workers have taken a pledge to boycott Israeli film companies. I'm Kevin Carr.
A Supreme Court ruling on bathrooms, and Robert Workman with sports. Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues with the potential for severe weather today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton with the outlook.
For this Patriot Day, portions of the High Plains and the Rockies face an increased risk for severe weather as a large, slow-moving, and impactful storm centered around the West Coast works its way inland. It's not the most impressive setup, as the moisture available for thunderstorms won't be overly rich, but the disturbance sparking these storms looks to be strong enough to produce thunderstorms by this afternoon and into the evening that may be rather potent, bringing the risk for hail, downpours that may lead to flooding, and localized wind gusts of at least 60 to 70 miles per hour from central Montana to far northern Colorado, the Nebraska Panhandle, and the western Dakotas. However, this storm will have many other impacts on today's weather over the western states, not the least of which is expected to be another round of wet weather from interior portions of Oregon and northern and central California, across much of Nevada and Idaho, even parts of western Colorado, especially by the afternoon hours after any early sun provides more heating and energy for those storms to build. As was the case yesterday, some of these storms may fall over areas in drought conditions, offering some relief, but there remains some risk for precipitation over burn scars as well. With that ground not as able to soak in the rain, flash flooding may result instead. For the rest of the nation, a warming trend progresses from West Texas through Arkansas and northward into the Midwest and adjacent parts of the Great Lakes region under sunshine for many, with a stray thunderstorm around the southeast Texas coastline. Heavy thunderstorms bring even more rain to the Florida peninsula today, with more sunshine instead returning to much of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast after what turned out to be a rather cloudy Wednesday around the area. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Flags will fly at half-staff for the rest of the week as the nation mourns a man President Trump called a martyr for truth and freedom Rich Johnson reports Charlie Kirk, killed while talking to students on a college campus in Utah, was a man who some considered polarizing, but will be remembered as a leader who inspired a generation of young voters.
Even as he praised Kirk and lamented his death,
I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox summed up what happened at Utah Valley University.
I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination.
On Capitol Hill,
the chair would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson led the chamber in that moment, after which Colorado Republican Lauren Boebert demanded a publicly spoken prayer. That didn't happen, but outside the Capitol,
Democrats own this 100%.
South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace turned the conversation in that direction. Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott summed up his sadness.
Charlie's actually a very good friend of mine. It scares you to death for he and his family.
Democrat Arizona Senator Mark Kelly is no stranger to political violence.
It is, a horrendous thing to see, and it happens all too often.
It happened to Kelly's wife, former Arizona Representative Gabby Giffords, who survived a gunman's bullets in 2011 while meeting voters in Tucson. One senator who says he was especially close to Kirk, Oklahoma Republican Mark Wayne Mullen, summed up his friend's original claim to fame.
This is a guy that literally went to campuses and gave an opportunity for those with an opposing view to speak their mind and debate him.
Mullen said Kirk did so with warmth and humor.
He didn't belittle them. He didn't make them feel less than a person. He respected everybody. He said it with a loving voice. He talked about his love for the Lord, his Christian beliefs, and he actually brought more laughter and joy to these campuses.
Mullen's comment courtesy of Fox Business. Kirk jump-started those appearances he called Prove Me Wrong into the group Turning Point USA. It's now the largest conservative student organization in the country, with branches at more than 3,000 colleges and high schools. President Trump saved his praise for later in the night, a social media video recorded in the Oval Office.
I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah.
He vowed to do all he can to help find and punish those responsible, but he also spent much of the video praising Kirk.
Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth.
The president has ordered that flags on all federal buildings will fly at half-staff this coming Sunday. Several state governors have issued similar instructions. I'm Rich Johnson.
A professor from Texas A&M University is fired after a video taken by a student was made public that showed the professor discussing gender identity. Details from correspondent Clayton Neville.
The video showed Melissa McCool, a senior lecturer in the Texas A&M English department, be confronted by a student about her teaching of content related to gender identity. It happened in a class on children's literature. The student pointed to an executive order signed by President Trump recognizing two genders, male and female.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching. Because according to our president, there's only two genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies' funding programs that promote gender ideology. And this also very much goes against not only myself, but a lot of people's religious beliefs.
The student was asked to leave the classroom by McCool, who insisted what she was teaching was not illegal. In Texas, a new law bans K-12 schools from teaching about sexual orientation or gender identity, but it does not apply to universities. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, though, demanded McCool be fired. Not long after that, she was. The Dean of College of Arts and Sciences and the head of the English department removed from their administrative positions. The university says what McCool was teaching did not align with any reasonable expectation of standard curriculum for the course. Critics of the move point to political pressure on the university to fire McCool, claiming she's been teaching the same material for years with no issues. The video was initially posted on social media by state Republican Representative Brian Harrison. It garnered national attention after that. I'm Clayton Neville.
Gunfire erupts at a high school in a Denver suburb, leaving 3 students fighting for their lives. Lisa Dwyer reports the suspect is a student at the school.
Authorities say 3 teens were critically wounded in a shooting at a suburban Denver high school, including the suspected shooter. Jefferson County Sheriff's spokesperson Jackie Kelly says investigators know of only 3 students injured in that shooting.
We have for sure 3 people who were transported to the hospital. One of those 3 is our shooter. They are all juveniles and all are critical right now.
The shooting was reported around 12:30 p.m. at Evergreen High School in Evergreen, Colorado, about 30 miles west of Denver in the Rocky Mountain foothills. It was not clear what led to the shooting or how the suspected shooter, believed to be a student at the school, was shot.
I don't believe law enforcement fired any rounds today. So we still need to learn exactly what happened to that suspect and why he is injured the way that he is.
Sound courtesy KMGH, Denver 7. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Among the stories we're covering next, college athletes banned, and what happens with robo-taxis stays in Vegas. America in the Morning, back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. NATO forces were called into an unprecedented action after a number of Russian military drones crossed into Poland, all of which were brought down. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports the Kremlin drones were heading to targets in Ukraine, but straight into Polish airspace.
Russia launched drones into Poland in an unprecedented attack. I've been in touch with the Polish Prime Minister to make clear our support for Poland. We will stand firm in our support for Ukraine.
European officials are blasting Moscow after multiple Russian drones crossed into Poland during strikes on Ukraine. The Kremlin denies targeting Poland, saying Europeans and NATO officials accuse Moscow of provocations nearly daily, but in various European capitals, from Warsaw, where the Polish military says this was an act of aggression, to London,
unprecedented attack,
and Brussels.
Probably a deliberate provocation of Russia against a NATO member state.
Alliance Chief Mark Rutte says NATO fighter jets scrambled to shoot down the drones.
Last night showed that we are able to defend every inch of NATO territory, including, of course, its airspace.
A NATO spokesman says it's the first time the alliance faced a potential threat in that airspace. The response further boosts long-growing fears in Europe that the war could spill over as peace efforts go nowhere. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The U.S. Supreme Court declines to take up an application from South Carolina seeking to enforce its ban on students using public school bathrooms that match their gender identity. The order from the High Court comes after a federal appeals court had temporarily stopped South Carolina from enforcing its law while the case played out. Attorneys for the students, identified as John Doe in the lawsuit, argue that no other students have taken issue with John Doe using the boys' restroom. While the Supreme Court brief was unsigned, 3 of the justices, including Clarence Thomas, said they would have granted the state's request. Shifting gears, consumer prices dropped slightly last month. Correspondent Jennifer King explains.
The Labor Department reports that the U.S. Producer Price Index fell unexpectedly last month, dropping 0.1% in August to an annual rate of 2.6%. That's down by 0.2% from July and lower than economists had forecast. The report looks at wholesale prices before they hit consumers and can offer an early look at where consumer inflation might be headed. Bill Adams, chief economist at Comerica Bank, says wholesalers and retailers have been slow to pass on the cost of tariffs, which he says could be due to foreign supplier discounts, weak demand, or businesses waiting for rates to settle out. Decelerating inflation makes it more likely that the Fed will cut its benchmark interest rate next week for the first time this year. The Consumer Price Index for August comes out on Thursday. I'm Jennifer King.
They'll never be able to lace up their sneakers in the college ranks again. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports the NCAA has banned 3 men's college basketball players for life after it was determined they were caught betting on games they played in.
The NCAA has permanently revoked the eligibility of 3 Division I college basketball players for betting on their own games at Fresno State and San Jose State. The NCAA Committee on Infractions on Wednesday released findings from an investigation involving Michael Robinson, Steven Vasquez, and Jalen Weaver. The 3 also bet on each other's games and shared information to facilitate betting during the 2024-25 season. 2 players manipulated their performances to win bets. Robinson and Vasquez failed to cooperate with the investigation. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
Amazon robo-taxis were unleashed on the Las Vegas Strip, providing free rides for now. Chuck Palm has details in today's Tech Report.
Amazon Zoox driverless robo-taxis are debuting on the Las Vegas Strip. Amazon bet $1.2 billion on self-driving technology and launched their robo-taxi service yesterday in the Sin City. These boxy bi-directional vehicles are built by a California bus factory and can carry 4 passengers without pedals, wheels, or for that matter, a steering wheel. Rides are free for now via the Zoox app, spelled Z-O-O-X, and max out at 3 miles. After 2 years of employee-only testing in Las Vegas, it's now open to everybody, with about 50 vehicles running there and in San Francisco. Amazon claims there is no AI technology here, just rock-solid autonomy for safer streets. With a combination of radar and LiDAR, they'll have a way to go to catch up with Waymo's head start, but Zoox plans to scale up for Austin and Miami next year and cranking out about 10,000 robotaxis annually. For more tech news, find me on X at Chuck Palm.
Thursday Sports has arrived. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball Wednesday, the Dodgers rolled over the Rockies 9-0. Blake Snell and company with a 2-hitter and 17 strikeouts. Mookie Betts hit an 8th-inning grand slam, and the next batter, Teoscar Hernandez, went deep as well. Jake Berger homered twice to lead the Rangers over the Brewers 6-3 for that series sweep. Milwaukee still with the best record in baseball. Tigers trampled the Yankees 11-1, pounding out 16 hits, including 3 home runs. Phillies now with a 10-game lead in the NL East after thrashing the Mets 11-3. Max Kepler went deep and drove in 5.
It's awesome. Big accomplishment. You know, we grinded over in New York and we're unhappy with what we did there. So to win a series and hopefully get a sweep tomorrow is all you can ask for.
Astros got a 9th-inning dinger from Yainer Diaz as they shaded the Blue Jays 3-2. Orioles sank the Pirates 2-1 in 10 innings. That's their 4th walk-off win in the last 5 days. A's scratched out a run in the bottom of the 9th off Aroldis Chapman to edge the Red Sox 5-4. Chapman had not allowed a run or even a base hit since July 23rd. Mariners harpooned the Cardinals 4-2 on a Luis Rivas homer in the 13th inning. Angels topped the Twins 4-3. Royals got by the Guardians 4-3. Reds rallied past the Padres 2-1. Diamondbacks held off the Giants 5-3. Marlins knocked off the Nationals 8-3. White Sox deflected the Rays 6-5. And the Cubs beat the Braves 3-2. Anthony Rizzo, who led the Cubs to the 2016 World Series title, ending a 108-year pennant drought, will return to Wrigley Field this weekend to officially retire as a Cub. The first baseman was a 3-time All-Star and 4-time Gold Glove winner, not to mention a cancer survivor and Roberto Clemente Award recipient. NFL Week 2 kicks off tonight as the Packers host the Commanders. The college football weekend gears up as well. NC State and Wake Forest meet in an ACC clash. That's Thursday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. Hollywood boycotts Israel when America in the Morning continues after these messages. A long list of filmmakers in Hollywood have signed a pledge to boycott Israeli film companies, blaming them for the crisis in Gaza. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has details.
A growing list of film professionals are boycotting Israeli film companies in the wake of the ongoing Gaza crisis. More than 4,000 individuals have signed on to Film Workers' Pledge to End Complicity. The website states, quote, "In this urgent moment of crisis where many of our governments are enabling the carnage in Gaza, we must do everything we can to address complicity in that unrelenting horror." The pledge itself says that they will not, quote, "screen films, appear at, or otherwise work with Israeli film institutions that are implicated in genocide and apartheid against the Palestinian people." Initial signatories include director Ava DuVernay, the Bear star Iowa Debris, actor Mark Ruffalo, and Oscar-winning actress Olivia Colman. Many of the signatories have spoken publicly about Gaza, including Ruffalo on Instagram.
This is a man-made disaster. It's a man-made criminal act to kill civilian populations.
Joaquin Phoenix on Theo Von's podcast.
There's no justification for children starving to death in a conflict. Like, it's that simple, right?
And Nicola Coughlan on Instagram.
There's just a level of inhumanity in the situation which I have never witnessed the like in my life.
Other notable signatories include Emma Stone, Tilda Swinton, Yorgos Lanthimos, and Julie Christie. The action was inspired by the 1987 pledge from Filmmakers United Against Apartheid, who refused to screen films in South Africa. I'm Kevin Carr.
Fans of Ziggy Stardust rejoice. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports that a London museum has opened up a special archive dedicated to the legendary rocker, complete with 90,000 items from guitars to letters and notes where he jotted down ideas.
David Bowie's archive is open to the public in London. 90,000 items were acquired from Bowie's estate by London's Victoria and Albert Museum.
From, sketches that he's done, handwritten lyrics, costumes, instruments, even fan art, merchandise.
Curator Harriet Reid says there are handwritten notes from a movie in which Major Tom, the fictional astronaut floating in a tin can far above the world in Bowie's song Space Oddity, is sent to a disgruntled America. The exhibit features a lot of little things that made David Bowie tick.
The to-do list, things where he's making a record of the exhibitions he wants to see, the films he wants to see.
The exhibit also includes The Spectator, a stage musical about an 18th century London outlaw that Bowie was working on shortly before he died from cancer in 2016 at the age of 69. I'm Ed Donahue.
America in the Morning for September 11th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.